Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Fake cops rob, abduct man in Portland Cottage, Clarendon. Gunmen traveling in a convoy and posing as policemen robbed and abducted a man in Portland Cottage, Linelton, Clarendon yesterday afternoon. The abducted man, a fisherman, was eventually released. The police said he was not injured. Police report that about 2:10 p.m., 4 men were patrons at a bar in Portland Cottage when 3 motor vehicles drove up. Men dressed in civilian clothes, bulletproof vests, marked police, and armed with rifles and handguns exited the vehicles. It is reported that the men identified themselves as cops. 3 of the men in a bar ran, leaving the fisherman. The men then reportedly robbed the fisherman of his phone and a bag containing his passport and cash. The men also robbed him of his Toyota Wish motor car, which was parked outside the bar. The police said the gunmen placed the fisherman in a white Mitsubishi Pajero, blindfolded him, and sped off in the convoy. Along the way, one of the vehicles, a white Toyota Probox, blew a tire. The men abandoned the car along the roadway. On entering the highway from Freetown, the men kicked the fisherman out of the Pajero. Police said checks reveal that the abandoned Probox motor vehicle was reported stolen in St. Catherine. Maternity leave to increase to 3 months, paternity leave to be introduced, says Clark. Minister of Finance and Public Service Dr. Nigel Clark has announced the government of Jamaica's intent to increase maternity leave from 40 days to 3 calendar months. He also revealed that Holness said the administration will also seek to introduce paternity leave under certain conditions. Yesterday, as part of the public sector compensation restructure, he announced the GOJ's intention to update the Public Service Staff Order of 2004 to increase paid maternity leave in the public service from 40 days to 3 calendar months and introduce paternity leave for the first time in the public sector for fathers of newborns for a specific time on specific terms to be finalized, Clark said in a press conference on Tuesday. Further, the government wants to provide leave for adoptive parents, he added, outlining criteria for the latter. The government of Jamaica intends to update the public sector staff orders of 2004 to introduce family leave from adoptive parents who are bringing a new child into the home. Clark pointed out that in order to give effect to these changes, information will be circulated to members of the public by September 30 this year.
The government of Jamaica intends to update the Public Service Staff Orders of 2004 to increase maternity leave from 40 days to 3 calendar months. The government of Jamaica also intends to update the Public Service Staff Orders of 2004 to introduce paternity leave for the first time in the public service for fathers of newborns for a specific time and under specific terms to be finalized. The government of Jamaica also intends to update the Public Service Staff Orders of 2004 to introduce family leave for adoptive parents who are bringing a new child into the home. My fellow Jamaicans, we are working to modernize Jamaica's public service. And modernization is multifaceted. It includes pursuing efficiency and simplification. It embraces fairness and equity in compensation. It involves the application of technology to boost access and to enhance productivity. It requires better customer service. And yes, it also embraces changes in terms and conditions that better reflect our values.
Woman's body found in Greenville, Manchester. Police were at the crime scene in Greenville, Manchester, where the body of a woman was found on Bethel Street. The woman, who up to publication time was still unidentified, was reportedly found by residents who contacted the police. The cause of death is not immediately known. Information is sketchy, but reports reaching reporters indicate that based on where the body was found, preliminary observations suggest that people are attempting to dispose of the body, possibly by incinerating it. The area was cornered off by the police to carry out investigations. Targeting at-risk boys. Attorney at law and newly installed president of the Rotary Club of Trafalgar New Heights, Tamara Riley Dunn, is convinced that structured membership can assist drive achievement in Jamaica, especially among young men and boys. Riley Dunn made the comments as she announced her St. Andrew-based club's intention to implement a structured program targeting boys during her installation as the club's 13th president on Saturday. How much more could our marginalized boys soar with the right mentor? She questioned as she reflected on some of the greatest men of modern Jamaica, including Bob Marley, Usain Bolt, and Jimmy Cliff, who she noted all had mentors to support and guide their paths to greatness. Michael Leachin, one of the richest men in the world, is quoted as saying that if you have a mentor at the beginning of his career, he knew he could have soared even higher, said Riley Dunn as she noted that a significant number of criminal offenders in Jamaica are 15 to 24 years old. We are losing our boys, and we cannot have a generation of lost boys, the mother of 3 boys posited, pointing to the statistics. She explained that the mentorship program to be launched will provide select boys with key life skills and equip them to manage conflicts, among other things. The world needs more Michael Leachin, Usain Bolt, and Jimmy Cliffs. Jamaica needs them now, she declared. In the meantime, guest speaker at the installation ceremony, Alonzo Thorolong, Minister of State of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, challenged negative norms which characterize the socialization of many men, such as aggression, as he announced his support for the mentorship program. Pointing to the higher number of men who died by suicide in comparison to women, he said men are often not equipped to manage their emotions, which affects society negatively in various ways, including high levels of domestic violence and violence directed towards children. Thorolong noted that 25% of women in Jamaica experience violence by a man and that 80% of children have experienced some form of violence. We do not equip our young men with the source of mental fortitude to understand that to be a man is to also be human. It is okay to respect yourself. It is okay to respect the women around you, underscore Thorolong. And I find that within families, that sort of education, that kind of social engineering to help young men along the journey, it has been lacking, and in most cases it has been missed, added Thorolong, as he noted that between 2010 and 2015, more than 500,000 young men died as a result of violence in the Caribbean and Latin America. We are literally looking at figures that exceed figures in war zones, and what's so startling about this is that the majority of the perpetrators are young men, added Thorolong. He called the soon-to-be launched mentorship program by the club timely and said it would be beneficial to the nation. As the state minister with responsibility for gender, you can rest assured that you have my full support for the training seminars that you'll be having, Thorolong declared. Court ruling stalls Jas pre-Dembe IGM. The annual Dembe Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show will take place as planned later this month, but the spirit of the occasion could be dampened by a court action, which has again delayed an election of new officers for the Jamaica Agricultural Society JAS. The Supreme Court on Monday sided with dissentant branch society executive who went to court to stop the holding of an annual general meeting AGM announced for July 13 for failing to observe the general rules for allowing an election of officers prior to the annual agricultural show scheduled for July 30 to August 1 at the Dembe Showgrounds in Clarendon. The case was brought against the current leadership of the JAS, promoters of the 70-year-old event, for failing to follow the rules of the society in terms of electing its officials. President of the Border Just branch of the rural St. Andrew, Ian Hill, contended in an affidavit to the court that the leadership of the society headed by President Leonard Fulton has failed to issue the prescribed notice period in time for the branches to deliberate and reach a final decision on who to support in an election of a president to succeed him as head of the society. During the period, it is customary for a memo to be circulated to the presidents of the branches, naming the officers who are up for retirement from the board and those who are seeking re-election, Hill noted. He asked the court to restrain the JAS from convening an AGM, which has scheduled for Wednesday, July 13, and urged an other date to be set in accordance with the provisions of the JAS and by law pursuant to the JAS Act. He also asked the notice be issued and published, inviting the submission of nominations for election to the board, and to office of the President and Vice President, and all business be required to be transacted at the AGM carried out according to law. According to Hill, the notice of the AGM, which was published on June 16, was short for a 1 calendar month requirement, which is mandatory. The court subsequently ruled that the July 13 AGM be postponed and that the case be tried starting October 5th. Fulton, an agriculturist who has been serving the sector for more than 30 years in various capacities, including as CEO of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, Executive Director of the Jamaica 4-H Clubs, and Managing Director of the Jamaica Foundation and Spring Gardens Farms, confirmed the court's decision, but insisted that it would not seriously affect the annual Dembe show. I hope not. It will affect some people's enthusiasm, but not to a great extent. It is a legal issue as to who are eligible to chair the society. I am definitely going. I will not stay on as president, he said, noting that he already overstayed his welcome with the frequent delays to hold the AGM. There was no sign of who will emerge as the next president of the society, as the current vice presidents have not shown any interest in taking on the leader. Trade unionist Clifton Grant, a vice president of the University and Allied Workers Union, has been considered a frontrunner along with Hill. Grant, who heads the Human Resource Committee of the society, told reporters that while Fulton has been insisting that he is not qualified to lead the society, he knows that his position is constitutional. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.